be recorded. Schmeagol! Schmeagol!
Greetings! My name is Rowan, and this...
Tonya Momonye! Will.
Thank you, Will! We are back with the greatest age in history game show...
Chad or no Chad!
Tier list edition. This time, it's Chads of Greece, from the Willy Whacker, Alcibiades, from the zestiest Spartans to CLEON the Great. Let's look at the most outstanding individuals of the Peloponnesian War.
In times of great peril, the only men who can command without fear and lead towards the light can vanquish the hardest of times and build upon ash and decay a kingdom that can break the dawn of men once again. This man wasn't King Agis. Agis was the only Spartan king to have all his troops refuse his orders when deciding to charge up a hill in the Battle of Mantinea. Obviously, no respect for high ground. He was then refused again in the Battle of Mantinea to extend his line in the battle when the phalanxes met. He was the Spartan king with training wheels, the excubly helping the king through. His only other thing he did in the war was sit at Decelea, camping out the Athenians in Attica with no battle, D for doing nothing.
Brasidas may be the greatest Spartan to ever live.
Wow!
You can keep your Leonidas and his 300 because none of them conquered cities with pure zest. Yes, this man, Thucydides tells us, was unlike any other Spartan because, wait for it, he had a personality that is beyond gruff war man. Thucydides tells us that he is charismatic and charming, aka zesty as fuck. Brasidas is mentioned several times in Thucydides and Diodorus. Notably, he was ephor of Sparta in 430. He was present in the Spartan forces who were beaten by Phormio, as well as acting bravely at Pylos, where he managed to lose his shield, which surely was only because cowards hide behind them. After Pylos and Sphacteria, the Spartan image was in tatters, as for the first time the Spartans had surrendered. Yes, the same Spartans who had obedience whipped into them from the age of 7 surrendered, completely dissolving the Spartan mirage of power and ferocity acquired with the blood of the 300 at Thermopylae. Brasidas enters the scene to restore this image. He was sent to the Callicratidas with the expendable force of 700 helots and 1,000 Peloponnesian mercenaries. The Spartan Oliganthropia explains why a general was sent with a measly 1,000 mercenaries and literal slaves instead of an actual force of Spartans. But despite this, Brasidas started popping the fuck off, capturing key cities of the Callicratidas, cutting off the Athenian grain supply, and capturing Amphipolis, where his zest was shown in full after he waltzed into the city, where instead of the locals spitting at him and cursing him, they were so taken away with his pure zest that they named him as their city's founder, discounting the poor guy who actually did found it. S tier for Super Chad.
Lysander was truly the Spartan V 2.0 XD New Gen I8 sort of guy. Much different from the Spartiates of old, who were few of word, yet big of muscle. Lysander is different from this. First, he was a mere Mothax, so a second-class Spartiate. However, he was a whiz at the naval combat, which Spartans hadn't really been able to do yet. He also made good relations with the satrap, Cyrus the not-so-great of Persia. Just gave him an infinite money glitch by giving him access to all his coffers. Lysander dealt a hammer blow to Athens at the Battle of Agis II, to which he outshipped the Athenians to get to the Hellespont and cut them off and their food supply. He forced them into dire straits, to which Alcibiades told the Athenians not to go into the pass. I thought I said trolled. Told the Athenians not to go into the pass. Somehow, his charm didn't work, and the Athenians sailed towards death straight up. Lysander was able to end the Peloponnesian War through his charisma and boatingness. After Agis II, we have to raise him to the A tier.
Demosthenes. Demosthenes. I love to think that this guy was just super in over his head. Just some normal dude somehow making it on this list because he is truly the embodiment of the duality of man. He's somehow responsible for the Athenians' most impressive victory and their most embarrassing defeat. He drove the Spartans to surrender at Sphacteria with nothing but a few ships worth of rowers. Yeah, not some elite army or horse archers, but just a couple of ships worth of rowers with hardly any armour. And no, it definitely wasn't due to those Spartans just sitting on the island, stewing and starving for months. Nah, definitely not. But either way, he just gave himself the reputation of being able to defeat Spartans, and was subsequently sent to deal with them in Sicily, where our boy arrives with reinforcements to join the Athenians who were besieging the Syracusan walls. This is where I feel like he was really just some guy, because after the Syracusans burnt his siege engine, he had his master plan of a nighttime attack. The problem with this is that it's 415 BC, and it's dark as hell, so dark that you would not be able to distinguish between your troops and the enemy. Before the attack began, a watchword was established, the word you say to your buddy to stop him from stabbing you. The problem is, if your buddy is running at you, screaming and swinging because he can't actually see who you are, you're going to be shouting that password loud. Loud enough for the Syracusans to waltz right in, shouting it, and murder all of you. Nice one, Demosthenes. He deserves to be on both A and F tier, so we'll settle at D for duality of man.
Pericles. Peace. Protection. Plague. He really did it all. Pericles controlled this so-called democracy of Athens from 461 to 429, to which he led Athens into its golden age through trade and building of this definitely non-empirish Delian League, which definitely, starting with good intentions to defeat Persia after the Greco-Persian War, became a protection racket when they moved the treasury to Athens and started demanding the payments of the member states across the Aegean and blocking them if they did not pay, the ever-increasing demand of talents to the point of requesting 600 talents of tributes. Pericles commanded Athens to the point of which the Spartans camped outside Athens, ready for battle. The Athenians, well, they just hid behind the long walls and lived through the port of Piraeus. This worked until the gods decided they wanted to stop being so boring, and so they sent multiple plagues into Athens, killing a third of the population, include both of Pericles' heirs and himself. He led Athens through its golden age, setting them in a great position with all his policies, just for Athens to fall 25 years later. Athens tier.
In the dawn of the first days, it was prophesied, a light to all men and women alike, the true hero of all war, CLEON. The Athenian politician in general, opposition to boring old Pericles and his peace, CLEON had a thirst for glorious battle.
Portrayed by Aristophanes and Thucydides and Clegatron as dim-witted and a deviant, but it must be remembered that Thucydides was in one of his rival political parties. Aristophanes was a playwright making fun of everyone, and the Clega is a biased... and the Clega is biased because CLEON was in charge of the forces that killed our zesty boy Brasidas.
Rest in peace.
It took a true man of the highest caliber to take him down. CLEON was a rival to the foolish Nicias after Pericles' death by the plague, and sent Demosthenes to Sphacteria to deal with the Spartans there, which Nicias failed to do after the Spartans were just sitting there for months. CLEON, you're an undisputed S tier, and the Clegatron can cleg all the corridors he likes, 'cause I ain't changing my mind.
Wow, Nicias, you truly are a special one. For the most Greek deaths under your command, the Medal of Honor goes right here. To kill more Athenians than the rest of the Peloponnese combined, you really are something. After Alcibiades switched sides and Lamachus got insta-killed, the leader of the Sicilian campaign was left to Nicias, the man who did not want it to even happen in the first place, to which his major achievements are listed below. Let Alcibiades get away with the Sicilian campaign idea. Let Gylippus escape as soon as he arrives so that Gylippus can get to Syracuse. Actually wins the first battle versus Gylippus.
Wow.
Then loses against Gylippus, letting a counterwall be built and losing a fort. Stops attacking and takes defensive stance in a swamp. Becomes ill. Asks to leave, but no. He's too good. He must stay. So they can do amazing things like have the supply chain cut off by Corinth at sea, ambush and kill 800 Sicilians to turning the entire island against you, losing 7 ships because the Athenians went for a snack mid-battle, doesn't decide to go home while they still have shifts left, because after an eclipse he decides he can only leave after 27 days.
Nice one.
Where they decide to stay, camped in a swamp as he succumbs to illness. Very nice one. Yeah, then as there is only one escape being shut off as the Syracusans start to block the Great Harbour, they sail forward onto death, so with no escape they decide on option 2. Retreat over land. Yes, land. On the island they are on. Unfortunately, the Athenians did not have Moses with them on this expedition, and so the Athenian forces were harassed on all sides during the retreat and were either killed in skirmishes or surrender in droves to be worked in the quarry mines till death. No sense, Nicias. You truly are the king of F tier.
Hermocrates and Gylippus were 2 leaders of the Syracusan forces during Athens' little trip to Sicily, where they had 40,000 Athenians destroyed and enslaved. Not bad. Hermocrates was the only one to take the Athenian threat seriously when he came up with the plan to build some crazy walls, which undoubtedly saved them, and came up with the plan to trick the Athenians into waiting longer during their escape, leading to their final battle and downfall. Gylippus is straight up a Brasidas copy, a single charismatic Spartan sent far away to piss off the Athenians, winning cities to his side. Where have I heard this before? The only difference between the two of them, besides, being different people, is that Brasidas was a true Spartiate, and Gylippus is just a Mothax, a half-Spartan, showing just how bad the Spartans' oliganthropia had become at this point, giving Mothaxes like Lysander and Gylippus charge of men. Gylippus learnt from his mistakes. He and the Corinthian ships he brought with him were undoubtedly crucial in helping the Syracusans repel the Athenians. These two get a B for not bad.
Thrasybulus and Thrasyllus, the bros who can't stop winning. They were a power duo, getting the winning of Cymesema, Abydos, and Cyzicus. Nothing could stop them. Well, apart from a helmsman called Antiochus losing the Battle of Notium and so making them lose their leadership. Hashtag just for the bros. These sailors went to CCC tier.
Not much is known of Lamachus, besides him being the only general sent to Sicily with true ability for tactics and warfare. Unfortunately for him, his weakness is sexy men, and he was on an expedition with Alcibiades. Unlucky, my guy. He agreed with all of Alcibiades' ridiculous plans, which would lead to his death. Very quickly, F tier for got fucked up by Alcibiades.
The 2 satraps in the Peloponnesian War, Pharmabazos and Cyrus. Pharmabazos was the satrap of Asia Minor, who just did everything Alcibiades said, with the whole not giving Spartans enough gold that was recorded. That is P for Puppet tier. Cyrus, however, was BFF bros with main man Lysander, literally just giving him all his money and resources to Lysander because bro's got a bro. A Chad and a bro.
Mindarus! This boy was in charge of one battle, which we have a message from that was sent from his men back to Sparta that pretty much sums up the entire battle.
Mindarus is dead. The men are starving. We know not what to do.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. This guy would be an absolute F, but since the message is cool, we'll give him an E. Callicratidas is in a similar boat to Mindarus, only he didn't have a cool message. Lysander was Navarch, head of the fleet, and after his term ran out, Callicratidas took a try. One battle later, and Lysander was immediately put back to being Navarch, despite only supposed to have one term. This fact alone probably tells you how Callicratidas' one battle went. F for forgotten with time. Phormio was an Athenian admiral in the Archidamus War, where he had 2 very successful sea battles, both of which he was heavily outnumbered, but still came out victorious, truly showing the superior Athenian seamanship. A for oh yeah. Archidamus, despite having an entire section of the Peloponnesian War named after him, didn't really do anything. This king, besides giving the most anti-Spartan speech during the debate at Sparta, did practically nothing. D for doesn't war equals false Spartan.
Do you hate the government? Why not control it? Just become beautiful and charming to the point no one can refuse you. From new friends to new legislation, why not do life the right way, the Alcibiades way? Alcibiades is coming from such humble beginnings as the house of Pericles, rising to the heights of Athens, where it confronts one of the biggest Athenian expeditions, to Sicily, while in the crux of an all-out war versus the Spartans. But he is beautiful. Everyone in the court thinks he's beautiful. Socrates thinks he's beautiful. Tyler thinks he's beautiful. And so do we. Somehow, some people of Athens had a greater lust for power than for Alcibiades, so he was blamed for willy-whacking the Hermes statues in Athens before sailing to Sicily. Then he goes for the epic double backstab.
Stab.
He first is called back to Athens with guards coming to pick him up, to which he just goes, "Nah, bro, trust me." And then he sails to Sparta. Athens is at war with Sparta. He then gives them advice on how to defeat Athens in the campaign he created, which ends with 40,000 Athenians dead. Then off he goes to Persia. Totally unrelated, the Spartan queen just gave birth to someone that looks like him. But anyway, he's in Persia now, and now he's officially played all three sides in this Game of Thrones. After this, he helps Athens indirectly by limiting the amount of funds to Sparta from the satrap Pharmabazos, and so allowing Athens to hold on for a little longer and not be all out crushed by the Spartan fleet. This absolute fiend then decides to cause the whole coup de l'étoile in Athens and return, literally lapping in politics. He then causes the death of hundreds of the Peloponnesian Sparta by being a master admiral at sea and winning the battles of Abydos and Cyzicus. After this, though, at the next great battle of Otium, he just leaves. Like, literally no explanation. He just leaves. And leaves his helmsman Antiochus, who invented the British fighting style before there was a Britain. The good old just charge, which caused the loss of the battle and Antiochus's life. Alcibiades decides he's done with meddling for now. And lives in his castle on the hill. Ooh, indeed. To the man who caused the death of 40,000 of his own people but still returned unfazed, who played every angle in politics but got away with it by just flossing twice a day. Forgetting Socrates to simp, S tier.
S tier.